When I was 14, my dad died in a tragic accident. The reality of being an orphan hit me so hard. I think it shocked me into really rebellion. Anyway, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, and a couple of months later, I also had an accident which left me with a broken femur. Spent a couple of months in the hospital. This was in a third world country. And had to learn how to walk again, walked on crutches after I got better. I remember there was a youth group that came to my church, and I thought I was doing well enough. We took a backpacking trip across a mountain. The next morning when I woke up, just like any other day, I wanted to get up, but I was paralyzed from the waist down. Nothing wanted to move. They called the ambulance and they took me to the hospital. After a couple of days, there was some infection that kind of penetrated through my muscles and oozed out. There was a pretty big hole about the size of my thumb, through which the infection came out, and every day the doctor came and bandaged me and cleaned me up and gave me antibiotics, but I wasn't getting any better. The doctor did not know why the infection was not responding to the antibiotics, and at this rate the infection was eating out so fast at my bone that in the next few months it was going to penetrate and get into the bone marrow, and once it got into the bone marrow, I basically had no chance. There I was, 14 years old, with the whole life in front of me. And so that night I just wept and wept and cried to God, and I said, God, if you're there, and I know you're there, I just pray that you save my life, and if you save my life, I promise that I would give my life to you. The next couple of days, nothing happened. But then one night, the nurse on duty came over and told me I had a phone call. So I went to the phone and picked up the receiver, and a voice said, "Hello, Marius. How are you?" And I didn't recognize the voice. I mean, I went through my relatives, my mom, and my grandparents, didn't recognize who that was on the phone. Anyway, he told me that he'd heard about my situation and that he wanted to help. And through the course of the conversation, he told me that he knew an orthopedic surgeon, and he said he would basically take care of everything. There was no way that we could have afforded that. I got the surgery. I was on the operating table. I'd been there for about an hour in recovery. My mom was by my side, and according to the doctors, I was supposed to be up by this time. The nurses were coming in and out, checking my vitals, and my mom, even though she didn't have any medical training, knew that something was wrong. And so she began to pray herself at the side of my bed, and she said, "God, my husband passed away. I don't have my husband anymore. My son is in critical condition. The doctors are worried. God, if you're going to take my son, you're going to have to strengthen me, because I can't bear in such a short time for both my husband and my son to die." And she prayed and she said, "God, I want you to show me a sign. If you have a plan for his life, you got to do something now." She didn't even finish the prayer, and I basically stood up from the table. I had an oxygen mask. I pulled my oxygen mask. I looked at my mom, still saw the tears on her cheek, and started smiling. And she started smiling and laughing. She couldn't believe her eyes now as she tells me the story. Just right after she finished her prayer, I just get up, almost like, God injected life back into my body. It was quite a time to have that prayer answered. Now, in retrospect, as I look back, that story, that answered prayer really anchors my life to today, and it probably will do so for the rest of my life, because I know that I received life again as a result of prayer. My name is Marius, and my prayer was answered.